Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing today? How are you guys doing? Hey, this is Gregory Wiles coming live to you from Houston, Texas with this inspirational morning walk. Man, it's such a beautiful day here. It's a beautiful day. See those skies back there? It's a beautiful day. The wind, the east wind has died down a little so I can walk back and do my talk. So, hey, hope you guys have a great weather like we are here in Houston today. Hope you're getting the weather that it's scheduled for you this time of the year. We're nice now. Started off in the 70s. Good morning, Jillian. Good morning. Started off in the low 70s and we're going to be climbing up to the 80s. But I feel a little wind is coming here, so let me get to a little quiet spot where it does not get into the mic and affect the sound. But yes, guys, for first-time listeners, just get some exercise in the mornings and I share my thoughts with you guys. Whatever I'm inspired to talk about that day, I will share with you guys. It's a beautiful Friday here, man. So just remember YouTube, you can go on there. Anything that you miss, you can go on there and check it out. Channel Gregory Wiles if you're on YouTube. That's WYLES. And you can check out the channel there. And you can subscribe while you're there. But okay, I'll get into it today. What I want to talk about, oh, this wind is coming a little bit here now. What I want to talk about today, man, I want to look at this. I can entitle this your test period or the test period, right? You stay under this tree here. It's not so windy. So I want to look at Judges 3. Judges 3, I'm going to read from about 1 through about 4, right? Judges 3, but 1 through about 4. But if you go back in Judges 2, it's talk about when Joshua died and all the other elders of Israel in Joshua time who fought all those wars and get the people over to the promised land, right? You know, they went through all the struggle from Egypt and all of that. And they know the struggles coming along to get into the promised land. As the Bible put it, the lands got rest after Joshua defeated some of the other nations. I mean, they didn't have to fight no war for a certain period of time. So after that generation, Joshua generation had died out. The new generation that come up didn't know anything about these wars. They didn't know anything about this struggle. They kind of born into the good times, so to speak, right? So they start to, do their own wickedness. Take all that for granted that the foreparents went through to get them where they are, and they start to follow other gods, and God try to discipline them. And that's when he start raising up these judges, right? Every time they do wrong and they repent, you raise up a judge, and the judge would, get him through the period, and then they will go back and do the same thing. So God said, you know what, I'm not gonna drive out all these people. He left some of the nations behind, right? He left some of the nations behind. And here why he left some of these nations behind, right? So we can read from Judges 3. We can read from Judges 3, 1 through 4. He said, these are the nations that the Lord left in the land to test those Israelites who had not experienced the wars of Canaan. He did this to teach warfare to generations of Israelites who had no experience in battle, right? That's what I'm saying. So these people didn't know about no wars. They come up in the good times. So God left some nations, 5 nations behind to test them, to teach warfare to them, right? He said he did this to teach warfare to generations of Israelites who had no experience in battle. These are the nations, the Philistines, those living under the 5 Philistine rulers, all the Canaanites, the Sidonians, and the Hivites living in the mountains of Lebanon from Mount Baal Hermon to Lebo Hamath. So these people were left to test the Israelites to see whether they would obey the commands the Lord had given to their ancestors through Moses, right? So this is a nice little piece of teaching here for us. We could go a couple of ways with this. The first one I want to point out, right? I know people of my generation struggle with this a lot. We went through a lot. The things that we went through, some of the things that we went through growing up, we didn't have it that easy, We struggled, but that struggle that we went through shape our lives today. We get that drive, we get that hustle, we get that fight. We appreciate things. We don't take things for granted, right? Because we know where we come from. And when we were growing up, We swear that, I'm going to make things better for my kids, man. I'm going to make things better for my kids. Some of the struggles that I went through, I don't want my kids to go through because I know how tough it was, right? Pamela Jefferson, good morning. How are you doing today? So we said, man, we can make a better life for our children. But guess what happened? Our kids is just like this generation of Israelites here who don't know about the struggle, right? They just come when you put together things for them, and they come into a different life. They don't know about the struggle, and that frustrates us because we say, man, you guys take things for granted, and you got to hustle, you got to get this drive, and we're getting frustrated, right? But they don't know about the struggle. That struggle we've been through shape our lives, give us certain hustle and fight in us because of just what we've been through, right? But they didn't know that, right? And we get frustrated with them. I can remember this guy, Eric Thomas. Eric Thomas is a very, very good motivational speaker, one of the best in the business around right now. And he was saying he experienced this, and he was getting down on his son and telling his son, man, you gotta have the dog in you, you gotta have the fight, you got no hustle, you're taking things for granted. And he giving him his experience. His son said, man, Dad, just stop. Because he said he ate out the trash cans, he was homeless, and the guy said, Dad, just stop. I cannot have the same experience what you have. That's all your fault. I just born into a suburban life. I never had to hustle and fight for anything. So what you telling me about your experience? You eat out the trash cans and you was homeless, and that's what he said, that's your experience, but you spoiled me. I born into a suburban life. I never had to hustle and fight for nothing like you. So what you trying to tell me? That's your fault. You say, man, we look at things differently, right? So I'm saying this to say, so sometimes we gotta know, just like what Lord did to these people, test them because they've never been through the battle. We gotta sometimes leave them and don't jump to the aid all the time. So teach them warfare, just like how God had to teach this group of Israelites the warfare, right? Sometimes we gotta let them go through some stuff and teach them the warfare, teach them the hustle, teach them the fight, teach them the drive, teach them not to take things for granted. Because like the kid tell the father, you're right, I didn't know about hustling. I never had to hustle for one day in my life. I wake up every day, there was food on the table. I live in a nice neighborhood. I got the finest of things. You're buying all the latest things to me. I never had to hustle and fight. So, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't relate to you. I come from a different. So sometimes we got to, just like what God notice here with these kids, they didn't have to go through the hustle and the fight before parents being through. So they take things for granted, and all the things the parents did to get the success, to get them there, following all these laws, they just abandoned them and was following the other gods, right? So there's one thing we could take from this here, the people who struggle with that. And maybe you're one of those kids who didn't know the struggles that your parents been through. And sometimes God is going to put people in our path, just like we leave these nations there. Sometimes He's going to put people in our path to test us because He got something else for us. He got something big for us, and He said, you know what? I got to promote this person. Like say, I want to promote Gregory to this level, right? But he going to need some different type of experience, like the guy who was listening to, Kevin Ewing, and he is very versed in spiritual warfare. And he been through struggles all his life, not all his life, a portion of his life, about for 7 or 8 years, with people, girlfriends he had that put witchcraft attack on him. And it was a struggle, but God put him through the struggle to teach him, to prepare him for his ministry right now that he's going through, that he's teaching, because he been through this, so he know it, so he struggled through it, he educated himself on it, so he could now share his story and help millions of people all around the world, right? So I'm saying this to say sometimes all the struggles that you're going through is not really from the enemy all the time. Some of the things you're going through is not always from the enemy. Sometimes God putting you through it to prepare you for the next level, right? To prepare you for this next level. So this is a nice little piece of passage here that can go a lot of ways. Let me read this back again. This is from Judges 3:1-4, right? This is the group of Israelites who grew up after Joshua them had died. They didn't know about the struggle. They're just born into the promised land, enjoying the good life. So God left some nations to test them. So here it is what it said. These are the nations that the Lord left in the land to test those Israelites who had not experienced the wars of Canaan. He did this to teach warfare to the generation of Israelites who had no experience in battle. So it's that thing that you probably got to go and do. You want to promote you to. You have no experience in that thing. So God have to put some people, put some situation in your path to get you the experience you need to fight the battle you're gonna need to fight to be successful at the level that he gonna promote you to, right? And on the other side, what we talk about is the same thing, just like some people in my generation experience. Their kids never had to fight for nothing because we swear the things we've been through, we don't want them to experience, and we provide a better life for them. And then we upset now because they're taking things for granted because they so we got to find ways now to teach them and prepare them for battle, right? Just like how God left these nations here to prepare this generation, the Israelites for battle, right, guys? So I want to marinate on this. You could go and read the whole thing and get your good understanding of it, man. But this is everyday life. We can use these people's story, and this is what's going on every day, and take these, because these are some laws here. So when God point this out and show you what he did to those people there, we no different from them. They just was 2,000 years ago, but it's the same thing, the same principles that we can work with and become successful, guys, right? So your test period, know everything you're going through. Some things people put something, you probably got the boss giving you hell. You probably got some family member giving you hell. You're probably in some relationship right now that is challenging. And you're like, man, you want... But he probably put those people in your path to test you. You probably need some patience. He probably promoting you to a big position where you need patience, where you need understanding, where you need to work through conflict, right? So some of the things that people in your path is to test you and form you to get to where he has for you, right, guys? So I'm going to leave that there. So remember, everything bad is not always from the devil. That's one thing we got to understand. Everything bad is not always from the devil. Sometimes God puts stuff in our path to test us, to make us stronger, to prepare us for the next level, guys. All right, I'm going to leave that there, guys. You guys have a great weekend, and we can talk again on Monday, guys. Okay, then bye. I can enjoy this weather now and get my walk on. Okay, bye.